Every single day, millions of people look in the mirror and see the same thing: dark patches spreading across the face, brown spots creeping up the hands and along the neck. They showed up quietly, one at first, then two, then so many you stopped counting. You've tried creams, you've tried laser treatments, you've spent hundreds on products that promised results. And when you finally asked your doctor, you got two words: it's aging. I'm here to tell you that answer is incomplete, and it's costing you results. Age spots, the medical term is hyperpigmentation, are not a genetic sentence. They're not an inevitable consequence of getting older. They're a signal that 7 specific processes in your body are out of balance. And those processes can be corrected without expensive procedures, without $100 creams, without surgery, with tools that already exist in your kitchen and habits that cost nothing. Subscribe to Dr. Hartman and hit like right now. We're building toward 1,000 subscribers, and this channel cannot grow without you. Here's something you need to know before we go any further. The healthcare system is not built to keep you well. It's built to keep you coming back. That's not cynicism. That's economics. What you're about to hear, nobody at your next dermatology appointment is going to volunteer, because there's no billing code for teaching you how to fix this yourself. So subscribe, hit like, and let's get into it. Let's start with exactly what's happening inside your skin when a dark spot forms. In the deep layers of your skin live specialized cells called melanocytes. Melanocytes are pigment-producing cells. Their only job, is to manufacture a substance called melanin. Melanin is the dark pigment that gives your skin its color. When you're young and your body is running in coordination, melanocytes distribute that pigment evenly across the surface. Skin looks uniform, clear, consistent. Here's what changes. Under the influence of specific internal factors, and we're going to walk through every one of them today, those cells begin working erratically. Some slow down, some go into overdrive, dumping massive amounts of pigment into a single concentrated point. The result is a dark patch against lighter surrounding skin. The critical thing to understand is this: age itself does not break melanocytes. What breaks them are 7 specific, identifiable physiological processes. And that's actually good news, because specific processes can be changed. Now, here's the part most people get wrong. They think age spots are purely a sun problem. That's only partially true. The sun is a match. But for a match to start a fire, you need fuel. The fuel is what's happening inside your body. If your internal systems are functioning properly, sunlight is not your enemy. If there's internal dysfunction, spots can intensify in the middle of winter, on overcast days, without any meaningful sun exposure at all. This is why people coat themselves in expensive sunscreen, stay in the shade, and their spots keep darkening anyway. They're looking for the answer in the wrong place. Now let's get into the 7 reasons your doctor isn't telling you about, and I'm going to give you practical solutions for each one as we go. Reason number 1, your liver is drowning in toxins. I know what you're thinking right now. What does the liver have to do with skin pigmentation? I'm going to explain that, and I think you'll find it genuinely surprising. Your liver is performing more than 500 functions simultaneously at this very moment. 500 is not hyperbole. That's documented physiological reality. It filters blood, breaks down fats, neutralizes toxins, produces bile, stores vitamins. It's one of the hardest working organs in your entire body. And one of its functions, one you're almost certainly not going to hear about at a dermatology appointment, is direct influence on the condition of your skin. Every single day, substances enter your body that need to be processed and rendered harmless. Through food, through air, through water. The liver intercepts them, neutralizes them, and routes them out of the body. That's its job, to be the primary filter. But when the liver becomes overloaded, when it can't keep up with the incoming volume, the workload gets redistributed to other elimination systems. One of those systems is your skin. This is not a figure of speech. This is physiology. Your skin is not just a wrapper around your body. It's a fully functioning excretory organ. When your liver is working above capacity, your skin absorbs part of that load. And when substances that haven't been fully neutralized begin passing through skin tissue, they irritate the cells from the inside, including the melanocytes. Irritated melanocytes start working chaotically. They dump pigment unevenly, concentrating it in the areas where skin is thinnest: the face, the hands, the neck, the chest. This is why you can apply the most expensive creams on the market and the spots won't budge. You're repainting the walls of a house where a pipe has burst in the basement. It's pointless until you fix the pipe. Here's an important number. As we age, blood flow through the liver declines. Research shows that by age 75, hepatic blood flow can decrease by approximately 30%, and the liver itself can shrink in volume by 20 to 40%. The organ is slower. However, here's the good news. The liver has a remarkable capacity for recovery. Remove the things that are damaging it, support it with the right inputs, and it can significantly improve its function. How do you support your liver? With two simple, accessible tools. Solution 1. Warm lemon water. Begin every morning with a glass of warm water and a slice of lemon. Not hot, not cold, warm, approximately body temperature. This gently stimulates bile flow. Bile is a digestive fluid produced by the liver that thickens overnight. The warm water with lemon encourages it to move. A single lemon costs almost nothing and lasts 3 to 4 days. If you have elevated stomach acid or a stomach ulcer, substitute the lemon for half a teaspoon of honey. Same principle, gentler delivery. Solution 2. Dandelion root tea. Bitter foods stimulate bile production, which helps the liver process fats. The most accessible source is dandelion, the same plant that grows in your yard every spring. 2 tablespoons of dried dandelion root per cup of boiling water. Steep for 20 minutes. Drink half a cup before your main meal. Dandelion root costs less than a standard box of tea at any health food store. Bitter? Yes. Worth it? Absolutely. 2 tools. Warm lemon water in the morning. Dandelion tea before lunch. Within several weeks, you'll have given your liver meaningful support. When the liver functions better, the skin carries less load. But here's the thing. Even with a healthy liver, if your gut is compromised, you're fighting an uphill battle. Which brings us to reason number 2. Reason number 2. Your gut wall is leaking. Researchers are actively studying what's called the gut-skin axis, the direct relationship between intestinal health and skin condition. Current evidence indicates that disruption of the gut microbiome can amplify inflammatory processes throughout the body, including the processes that dysregulate pigmentation. People with a disrupted gut microbiome show skin problems, including uneven pigmentation, at significantly higher rates. Why? Your gut is not simply a tube that food moves through, it's an entire ecosystem. Trillions of bacteria live inside it. Those bacteria are governing processes you're not aware of, synthesizing vitamins, calibrating immune responses, regulating inflammation throughout the body. When beneficial bacteria are abundant, they maintain the gut wall as a tight, intact barrier. Nothing unauthorized crosses into the bloodstream. But when beneficial bacteria are depleted and harmful bacteria dominate, that barrier function breaks down. In scientific literature, this is referred to as increased intestinal permeability, or as it's come to be known colloquially, leaky gut. Through the weakened wall, fragments of bacteria and other substances enter the bloodstream and trigger an inflammatory response throughout the body. Quiet, invisible, no fever, no pain. But that chronic low-grade inflammation is exactly what pushes melanocytes into dysregulated activity. Remember the match and the fuel? There it is. The fuel is hidden chronic inflammation. You can avoid the sun for an entire year, but if this process is running in the background, pigmentation will keep intensifying regardless of the season. What do? Restore the microbiome. And for that, you don't need expensive probiotic capsules. Solution 1. Fermented foods. Specifically, homemade sauerkraut, fermented cabbage. Not the store-bought kind sitting in vinegar and preservatives, but traditionally fermented, made with nothing but cabbage and salt. Sauerkraut is one of the richest natural sources of live beneficial bacteria, 2 to 3 tablespoons a day. Within a month, your gut will register a difference. Cabbage and salt. That's the entire ingredient list. It doesn't get cheaper than that. Solution 2. Plain kefir. The simplest variety, no added flavors, with a short shelf life, 7 days maximum. The shorter the shelf life, the more live bacteria it contains. A glass of kefir before bed every single night, specifically at night because the gut does its most active repair work during sleep, and the bacteria from the kefir integrate into the microbiome while you rest. 2 tools. Fermented cabbage during the day, kefir at night. But bacteria need fuel of their own. Add plain oatmeal, not the instant packets, the real variety that takes 15 to 20 minutes on the stove. 3 tablespoons in the morning gives your gut bacteria their daily nutrition. Now here's where it gets interesting, because even with a healthy liver and a healthy gut, if your hormones are out of balance, age spots can still appear. And this is the one almost nobody talks about. Reason number 3, your hormones went silent. This is the hidden factor that affects women over 40 more than any other group, and it's almost never mentioned in the context of age spots. I'm talking about estrogen and progesterone decline. When women enter perimenopause and menopause, estrogen levels drop dramatically, and estrogen has a direct regulatory effect on melanocytes. Estrogen keeps melanocyte activity balanced. It prevents overproduction of pigment, When estrogen drops, that regulatory brake is released. Melanocytes go into overdrive. The result is melasma, the medical term for hormone-driven hyperpigmentation. Dark patches that appear on the forehead, cheeks, and upper lip, often symmetrical, often resistant to every cream on the market, because you're not treating the cause, you're treating the symptom. This is also why some women develop dark spots during pregnancy or while taking birth control pills. Hormonal fluctuation triggers melanocyte dysregulation. Men experience this too, though less dramatically. Testosterone declines with age, and that decline affects skin cell regulation across the board. So what do? Solution 1. Ground flax seeds. Flax seeds contain compounds called lignans. Lignans are phytoestrogens, plant-based compounds that mimic estrogen's effects in the body. They don't replace estrogen. They provide a gentle, natural signal that helps balance the system. 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed daily. Add them to oatmeal, yogurt, or smoothies. Whole flax seeds pass through undigested. You must grind them fresh. A coffee grinder works perfectly. Solution 2. Seed cycling. This is a technique used in functional medicine to support natural hormone balance. Days 1 to 14 of your cycle, or the first 2 weeks of the month if you're postmenopausal. 1 tablespoon each of ground flax seeds and pumpkin seeds. Days 15 to 28, or the second 2 weeks, 1 tablespoon each of sunflower seeds and sesame seeds. The specific nutrients in each seed support the hormonal phase your body is in. Simple, inexpensive, and remarkably effective when done consistently. 2 tools. Ground flax seeds daily. Seed cycling if you want to go deeper. But even with balanced hormones, if your cells are starving for water, pigmentation won't clear. Which brings us to reason number 4, and this one surprises people every time. Reason number 4, your cells are starving for water. Most people think they're hydrated because they're not thirsty. That's a dangerous assumption. By the time you feel thirst, you're already dehydrated. And chronic mild dehydration, the kind that produces no obvious symptoms, has a profound effect on skin pigmentation. Here's why. Melanin, the dark pigment in age spots, is transported through your skin tissue by lymphatic fluid. When you're properly hydrated, that fluid flows freely. Melanin distributes evenly. Old melanin gets cleared efficiently. When you're chronically dehydrated, lymphatic flow slows to a crawl. Melanin accumulates in concentrated pockets. It doesn't clear, it builds up. The result? Persistent dark spots that don't respond to any topical treatment, because the problem isn't on the surface, it's in the circulation beneath. Additionally, dehydrated skin loses its barrier function. The protective outer layer becomes thin and permeable. UV radiation penetrates deeper. Melanocytes receive a stronger signal to produce pigment. You get more spots faster, even with the same sun exposure. So what do? Solution 1. Structured water intake. Not just drink more water. That doesn't work for most people because they forget, or they drink it all at once and urinate it out immediately. Here's the structure. 1 glass of water immediately upon waking, before coffee, before anything else. 1 glass mid-morning, 1 glass before lunch, 1 glass mid-afternoon, 1 glass before dinner. That's 5 glasses, spaced evenly throughout the day. Your body can actually absorb and use it. Solution 2. Water-rich foods. Cucumber, watermelon, celery, zucchini, lettuce. These foods provide water in a form your cells can hold on to longer than plain water. Because the water is bound to fiber and minerals, it releases slowly into your system. Add 1 water-rich food to every meal. Cucumber slices with lunch, watermelon as a snack, zucchini with dinner. 2 tools. Structured water intake, water-rich foods at every meal. Within 1 week, you'll see a difference, not just in your skin, in your energy, your mental clarity, your digestion. But hydration alone won't fix spots if you're vitamin D deficient, which most people over 50 are. Reason number 5. Your skin is vitamin D deficient. According to research data, insufficient or deficient vitamin D levels are found in the overwhelming majority of people over the age of 60. Most of them have no idea. Because low vitamin D doesn't cause pain, it produces no sharp, locatable symptom. It works quietly, the way rust corrodes iron from the inside. You can't see it until the structure begins to fail. Vitamin D is involved in regulating immune activity, in the renewal of skin cells, and in protection against inflammation. And here's the critical part. Vitamin D influences melanocyte function. The precise mechanisms are still being worked out, but the directional evidence is consistent. Vitamin D helps regulate pigment production. When vitamin D is deficient, melanocytes produce pigment erratically. More importantly, vitamin D is essential for skin cell turnover. the process by which old pigmented cells are shed and replaced by new, clear cells. Without adequate vitamin D, that turnover slows. Old pigmented cells stick around longer. Spots persist. So what do? Solution 1. Safe sun exposure. 15 minutes outdoors between April and September with your forearms and face exposed is sufficient. Not during peak hours. Not 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., early morning or late afternoon. Your skin produces vitamin D naturally when exposed to UVB radiation. No pills required. 15 minutes. Free and effective. Solution 2. Vitamin D-rich foods. First, fatty fish, herring, salmon, mackerel. 100 grams of herring contains approximately 1.5 times the daily recommended intake of vitamin D, 1 portion at lunch. Question answered for the day. Second, egg yolks. 2 yolks per day provide roughly 30% of the daily vitamin D requirement. Third, mushrooms exposed to sunlight. Many grocery stores now sell mushrooms that have been UV treated to boost their vitamin D content. 1 cup provides a meaningful dose. 2 tools. 15 minutes of morning or late afternoon sun, fatty fish, eggs, or mushrooms daily. But even with adequate vitamin D, if free radicals are attacking your skin cells, spots will keep forming. Reason number 6. Free radicals are eating your skin. Free radicals are unstable molecules generated in your skin tissue under UV exposure, pollution, cigarette smoke, and even stress. They're missing an electron, so they steal one from nearby cells, damaging those cells in the process. When a free radical attacks a melanocyte, that melanocyte responds by overproducing pigment as a defense mechanism. The result? More spots, darker spots, spots that spread faster. This is called oxidative stress. And it's one of the primary drivers of age spots in people who spend time outdoors, even with sunscreen. Because sunscreen blocks UV radiation, it doesn't block free radical formation. So what do? You fight free radicals with antioxidants, compounds that neutralize free radicals before they damage cells. And the most effective antioxidants come from food, not pills. Solution 1. Beta-carotene from carrots. Beta-carotene accumulates in skin tissue and functions as an internal light filter. Meta-analyses, large-scale scientific reviews consolidating the results of dozens of studies, confirm that regular consumption of beta-carotene-rich foods increases the skin's resistance to UV damage. One critical detail: beta-carotene is fat-soluble. It's only absorbed in the presence of dietary fat. Eat carrots with sour cream, a pat of butter, or cooked in oil. Without fat, beta-carotene passes straight through without being absorbed. Solution 2. Lycopene from tomatoes, particularly heat-processed tomatoes. Cooked, stewed, tomato paste. When heated, tomatoes release lycopene, one of the most potent natural antioxidants known. Clinical research demonstrates that regular consumption of tomato paste increases the skin's resistance to UV-induced damage. 2 tablespoons a day. Add it to soups, sauces, or scrambled eggs. 2 tools. Carrots with fat. Tomato paste daily. More protective than any antioxidant serum on the shelf. But here's the final piece, the one that can outweigh all 6 preceding factors combined. Reason number 7. Cortisol is painting your face brown. This one has nothing to do with food, nothing to do with the sun. It's connected to your nervous system, to what you feel every single day. In 15 years of clinical practice, I've seen patients who ate correctly, supported their liver, balanced their hormones, followed every protocol, and their spots didn't fade. New ones appeared. And only when we addressed one thing that had nothing to do with diet or skincare did the situation begin to shift. That factor is chronic stress, daily habitual stress that people no longer notice because it's become the background noise of their lives. Here's the mechanism. When you're anxious, worried, or upset, the brain fires an alarm signal. The adrenal glands, 2 small glands positioned on top of your kidneys, release stress hormones into the bloodstream. Cortisol, adrenaline. In prehistoric times, those hormones saved lives. They raised blood pressure, accelerated the heart, sharpened attention, everything needed to survive a physical threat. But your body can't distinguish between a real threat and an emotional one. A conflict with a neighbor. Worry about your children. A sleepless night spent reading the news. The body registers all of it as the same signal, danger, and the stress hormones flow, not once, every day. Morning anxiety, midday irritability, evening exhaustion that sleep doesn't resolve. Does that sound familiar? Chronic stress drives skin deterioration through multiple pathways. First, it amplifies systemic inflammation, the same low-grade chronic inflammation we've discussed throughout this video. Second, Stress triggers production of compounds from the pro-opiomelanocortin family. This is a precursor protein from which the body manufactures several hormones, including some that directly stimulate pigment production. Third, stress degrades the skin's barrier function, making it more vulnerable to external damage. People under chronic stress show skin disorders, including pigmentation irregularities, at substantially higher rates. You can do everything right nutritionally and follow every protocol, but if you're in a state of chronic stress every day, the inflammatory processes will continue. The solution is not to eliminate all stress. That's not a realistic prescription, but you can train your body to mount a calmer physiological response. Solution 1. 4-7-8 breathing technique. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the branch of your nervous system responsible for rest, recovery, and restoration. Sit comfortably or lie down. Close your eyes. Inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4. Breathe with your diaphragm. Your belly should rise, not your chest. Hold for a count of 7, calmly, without strain. Exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 8. A long, audible exhale. 4, 7, 8. Repeat 4 times, 2 minutes total. This activates the vagus nerve, the primary nerve of the parasympathetic system. Heart rate slows, blood pressure drops, muscles release. Consistent practice measurably reduces circulating stress hormone levels. Solution 2. Evening routine. Practice the 4-7-8 breathing before bed every night. Deep sleep is when the skin performs its cellular renewal. No deep sleep, no complete regeneration. 2 tools. 4-7-8 breathing twice daily. Prioritize sleep. Now here's something clinically relevant that connects all 7 factors. Your body's response to liver overload, gut dysbiosis, hormonal decline, dehydration, vitamin D deficiency, oxidative stress, and chronic stress all intensify with age. These mechanisms operate more aggressively after 40. After 50, the acceleration increases further. In people past 60, skin cells renew at roughly half the rate they did in youth. Damage clears more slowly. New damage accumulates faster. Age is a clinically significant variable here. So let me ask you directly, how old are you? Write it in the comments. I'm not asking out of curiosity. I want to understand who's watching this channel so I can build future content that's calibrated precisely to your age group, your risk profile, and your physiology. That number genuinely affects the recommendations. Now, for the practical section, can you address the spots topically as well? Yes, but only as a complement to everything we've discussed. Internal work first, external second. Here's a 3-ingredient mask using items from your kitchen. But first, an important warning. One of the most common mistakes. People take a brightening remedy, apply it, and the spots darken instead of fading. The skin reddens, inflames, flakes. They conclude the remedy is worthless. The real problem is not the remedy, it's the method. Your skin has a protective barrier, a microscopically thin film of beneficial lipids and microorganisms. When that barrier is intact, the skin tolerates active ingredients calmly. But in most people, that barrier is compromised by harsh soap, alcohol-based toners, abrasive scrubs. When an active substance contacts a damaged barrier, the skin reads it as an attack. It inflames. Inflamed skin responds by producing more pigment. This is called post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. Darkening of skin in direct response to inflammatory injury. You tried to lighten it and made it darker. Rule number 1. For 3 full days before using any mask, stop washing your face with soap entirely. No cleansers, no gels, no scrubs, warm water only. Over those 3 days, the barrier begins to rebuild. You'll feel it. The skin becomes softer, more supple. Only then, and not before, should you apply the mask. The 3-ingredient brightening mask. First, kefir, 1 tablespoon. Kefir contains lactic acid, a mild naturally occurring compound with documented brightening properties, plus live bacteria to support the skin's microbiome. Second, honey, half a teaspoon. A natural humectant, a substance that draws moisture from the air and holds it in the skin, and a gentle antimicrobial agent. Third, turmeric, a pinch, the amount that fits on the tip of a knife, nothing more. Turmeric contains curcumin, a compound with well-documented anti-inflammatory properties. But if you use too much, the skin stains yellow. A pinch, full stop. Mix all 3. Apply to the face, neck, chest, and hands. Leave on for 15 minutes. Rinse with warm water. No soap, pat dry. Don't rub. 3 times per week. Evenings only, not daily, not in the mornings. After active ingredients, skin is temporarily more UV sensitive. making morning application before going outside inappropriate. Now, lymphatic drainage. The lymphatic system is your body's internal waste clearance network. It collects dead cells, metabolic byproducts, and inflammatory debris and routes them out. Unlike blood, which is driven by the heart, lymph has no pump. It moves by one mechanism only: muscle contraction. Sit all day and lymph flow stagnates. Metabolic waste from skin cells accumulates in place. Here's 5 minutes each morning that changes that. The 5-minute lymphatic activation. First, vibration. Stand with feet shoulder width apart. If balance is an issue, hold a chair back. Rise 1 to 2 inches onto the balls of your feet. Then drop softly onto your heels. Firm but gentle contact. Enough to feel, not enough to cause pain. 30 times, 30 seconds. Second, facial tapping. Light fingertip tapping across the face. Then strokes from center outward toward the ears. Forehead midline to temples. Cheeks, nose to ears. Chin center toward earlobes. 5 to 6 strokes in each direction. Behind the ears sit lymph nodes that drain the entire face. Third, arm drainage. Raise one arm overhead. With the opposite hand, stroke from wrist to armpit in long, smooth motions, 10 strokes per arm. This moves lymph from the hands, where age spots often accumulate, toward the central drainage system. 5 minutes, every morning. Now, the complete protocol. The 3-week spot fade system. Week 1, preparation. Every morning, warm lemon water before eating. Every evening, kefir 1 hour before bed. Eliminate harsh soaps from your face. Warm water only. Begin dandelion root tea before your main meal. Add ground flax seeds to breakfast. Internally, the process has already started. Week 2, activation, full dietary protocol. Morning, oatmeal with grated carrot and a teaspoon of butter. Cucumber slices. Lunch, tomato-based soup or sauce. Fatty fish if available. Green salad. Snack, watermelon or celery. Dinner, 2 eggs or chicken. Fermented cabbage. Kefir before bed. Morning movement, vibration, facial tapping, arm drainage. 5 minutes. Evening breathing, 4-7-8, 4 cycles. Begin the mask 3 evenings per week. Week 3. Observation and consolidation. Look closely at the spots. The edges will begin to soften. Color will begin to fade. Continue the full protocol. Add structured water intake, 5 glasses spaced throughout the day. Add 15 minutes of safe sun exposure for vitamin D. Within 3 weeks of consistent adherence, you'll see measurable changes. Not only in the spots, more even overall skin tone, improved firmness, better sleep. Because you haven't been masking a symptom, you've been supporting the entire organism from the inside. One clinical note before we close: if you have spots that are changing in shape, have irregular borders, or look different from the others, see a dermatologist. Everything discussed today supports your body's own function. It doesn't replace medical evaluation when something needs to be clinically examined. Nobody in a white coat is going to walk you through this at an appointment. There's no revenue in patients who don't need to come back. That's a fact of the system, not a criticism of individuals. I'm Dr. Hartman, and this channel exists because 15 years in practice taught me what people need to hear and almost never get told. Help Dr. Hartman reach 1,000 subscribers. Subscribe, hit like, and help build something that actually serves you. Your health is not a profit center here. It's the whole point.